What is the cost of regret? What is the price of regret? And have you ever felt a certain amount or a modicum of regret in your life for something that you did when you felt you should have thought twice, or something that you didn't do that you wish you had gone back? Have you ever lived with the weight of that, of regret in your life? And does regret cause more stress than it is worth? What is the price of holding on to regret on this earth? I remember, I've taken so many Lyft passengers in this car, so many people in this back seat here. I think the app was telling me I've taken over 2,000 passengers. So I've heard so many stories, right? And I remember one night, it was late at night, and I was taking this guy all the way in the backwoods here in Texas. I was taking him to some town that I didn't even know existed. I forget what it was even called, but Texas has a lot of places that you would never know existed. And I was taking him to one of these places that night, and he was an insurance salesman, life insurance. And we were just talking, we were just joking around at first because the ride was going to be a little over an hour to get him to his destination. And so we were just talking, just having a nice little conversation. And I remember somehow the conversation turned from humorous, from comedy, towards the tragedy side. Because I remember I asked him, I don't know how we got to this topic, but I said, do you have any regrets in life? What would you tell a guy like me, or what would you even tell yourself at a younger age, at a different stage in your life? What was something you wish you could take back? Do you have any regrets like that? And he told me that, he said, I do have a regret. I have a big one. He said, being an insurance salesman for life insurance, I was really great at convincing people that they needed to sign up, that they needed to get this life insurance, that they did not know what could happen. And he said one of those people that I was not able to convince was my best friend. He said him and his best friend one day had an argument, and he was trying to convince him because he knew his friend for so many years. He even knew his underlying fears. He even was in good with his wife and children. This was his best friend. And one day they were out for drinks, and he had an argument with him. And the guy left. He stormed out. He wasn't trying to get life insurance. He didn't see the value. He said, no, it's just too much money right now. I have my stuff tied up in other interests. And he couldn't convince him. And he said that his friend went out. And that night, he went on a road. And this was like a 2-lane road. If you ever seen these long stretches. And he had no idea that there were so many things going on in his friend's mind. He knew his friend was one of those people, those impatient types, those people that have to get ahead in life. And he had seen him sometimes on these 2-lane roads, these 2-lane highways, where he would go in front of the car in front of him, even though there wasn't much space. And sometimes there would be just enough time to get in front and cut in front of the car in front of him before he could keep going. Like the car in front was going too slow. So he said that there was this one night that his friend was driving, and it must have been one of those cars that was just in front of him going too slow, not going at his pace. And he was in this constant race in life. He was always in a chase in life. And There were so many things that he was afraid to face in life, and one of them was just the fear of being behind. So he got in front of this car, but he did it a little bit too late. And when he tried to take off and cut this car off, there was an 18-wheeler just over the hill that was coming down. And the guy said his friend instantly was gone. Gone. He said that the kind of collision that he had going above 70 miles per hour with this 18-wheeler that was coming in the other direction completely liquefied his body. They said, strangely enough, the only thing that they found in the aftermath was like a small cut or a small slice on his cheek or something strange like that. But the rest of his body, his internal organs, everything was just liquid. It was gone. There was no other way to identify. And it haunted him to know that his friend, who he tried to convince for his family to get life insurance, that regret that ate him up for the rest of his life. Because he could never go back to see his friend again, but also his family was left with nothing. Nothing. And I want to ask you, do you have any regrets like that? And what is the cost with living, with thinking to yourself that I could have done more, I should have done more, I would have done more? Do you live with that weight or that burden today? Or would you be willing to let that go? Not for someone else, but to let it go for yourself. To let it go for your own mental health. What would be the price? How regret can sometimes be a form of punishment. You might go visit a senior living home or retirement home where the elderly gather, and you might ask them questions. What do you regret? A lot of them might say that they regret the things that they did, but you might find a lot more regret the things they never did, the things they didn't do, the things they never tried. The stories they told and the ways that they lied to themselves. How they might have allowed fear to constantly appear in their lives. And now they are left with regret. When we live this way and we give this way, what do we receive? What do we get? So, thank you for listening, my friend. This has just been a short message, once again, on what is the cost in this life, what is lost when we constantly live with regret. How things don't always turn out as we might expect. But as long as we have breath, we have hope. And for the rest of your life, at least you can say, you can devote. So thank you so much. Namaste, my friend, and have a beautiful time. We'll see you again.